Nania.
We have lots of great questions that have been submitted by our viewers this week.
All right.
Okay, the first one is, who do we pray to? You describe God as all that is. So when a person prays or tries to connect, who or what are they actually addressing?
They are addressing source, all that is. They are addressing the vibrational frequency that represents the collective of everything that exists. They are addressing intelligence, existence, the source itself as a vibrational frequency.
Okay, and you've been emphasizing connection with guidance spirits for a long time. Why is connecting with spirits such an important aspect of open contact?
Because exposure to the high frequency of certain extraterrestrials will actually increase your ability for your senses to start perceiving spirit beings as well, because the high frequency of many extraterrestrials is very close to the vibrational frequency of the realm of spirit. Therefore, exposure to one, in a sense, is getting used to being able to perceive the other as well.
Okay, and this person is saying they approach all dreams as having some meaning, but some dreams feel very different than others. For this person, a visitation dream or something that feels very different than a regular dream, is that a contact dream when you're having that difference, that kind of lucidity of the connection?
Yes, it can be. The idea is that you may interpret it as a dream because your mind has to, in physical reality, make sense out of something that may have happened in a slightly altered state or dimension. Therefore, sometimes the easiest thing for your mind to be able to handle is to interpret or process the experience you had on another level as what you would recognize to be a dream. But it's a memory. It's just being interpreted in dream language to make it easier for your mind to handle, because physical reality and the mental mind is not necessarily used to perceiving things directly on a higher plane, a higher level. So it uses whatever symbols and representations and feelings give it the ability to transmit the experience to your memory in physical terms, but it will still often feel a little bit like a dream because it doesn't interpret the reality in which you had the experience as being as real as physical reality. Therefore, it will usually have a dreamlike quality, even though you can tell that it's something a little bit different than what you would call a typical dream.
But is it the same thing as a lucid dream?
To some degree, it can be, but a lucid dream basically is like taking actual dream elements and controlling them. It's not necessarily a memory of an interaction. It's being awake in the dream state and working with the props that you are generating and creating with your consciousness in a more conscious way, in a more aware way, but doesn't mean you're actually communicating with another entity.
Um, and how can a person have greater trust for their guides? Like this person is saying they get messages from their guides and they follow them, and it seems to be very good for them. But at the same time, there's other times where he just refuses to listen.
Well, that's the choice of the individual, and the individual would have to investigate themselves to find out what the difference is between paying attention to one source of information as opposed to not paying attention to the same source in a different circumstance. So you would have to investigate yourself to find out why you're defining the different circumstance as being so different and making you unwilling to pay attention there when you are willing to pay attention another time. So it's going on within you and your belief systems, and you need to find out how you're defining those two moments as being so different for some reason.
Could that also be the idea of anxiety, that if a guide were to say, don't say this, or, you get that sort of hit that says, no, don't do this.
That's
And
not
yet you,
usually how guides operate. Guides don't often say don't. they will give you an alternative to do. Do this instead. They don't usually say don't, therefore not producing anxiety. The anxiety is coming from the individual being afraid of doing what the guide suggests.
Right.
So it's the individual, the physical individual, that is telling themselves don't, not the guide.
Okay. And this person is saying your teachings are the first they've encountered that they haven't been able to poke holes in. And because of that, they feel a genuine sense of hope, but they don't know how to proceed. Wait. Sorry. Let me try this again.
All right.
Okay. Your teachings are the first they've encountered that they haven't been able to poke holes in. And for that, they feel a genuine sense of hope. But at the same time, they struggle with a feeling like a pervasive cult mentality in the world around them. Can you talk about how to navigate and respond to the issue of people sort of being in cults and the difference between that and what is being accomplished through your transmissions?
Well, cults generally are attempting to provide a source of information that will control what it is you decide to do. Conversely, we are leaving it up to you to decide what to do. We are giving you your autonomy. We are giving you your independence. We are giving you self-possession. But the idea is that a cult will attempt to manipulate the way in which you are able to make decisions to go along with what certain members of the cult would prefer that you do. So it's more of a coercive energy rather than something that says, here's some information, do with it what you will. They're not trying to manipulate you or, in that sense, rule you or run your life for you, as a cult might do. That's generally the basic definitional difference between a cult and any other source of information that simply provides the information but leaves it completely up to you as to what to do with it. Whereas a cult attempts to tell you what to do with it in very specific terms that usually involve methods of control.
Okay, and this person is saying that during a meditation, I asked where souls come from. The word nebula dropped into my mind. A nebula is a star that is being formed or dying. Thus, we are stardust. How accurate is this?
Well, physiologically, yes, you are stardust. You are made up of the atomic components that stars give off, and they collect in different ways and combinations to create the physical life that you understand in the physical universe. But souls themselves are non-physical. Now, there can be an intermediary form, something that we refer to often as electromagnetheric energy, which is in some senses somewhat similar to what your scientists refer to as a different form of plasma. The idea of a very rarefied form of energy matter that acts as a kind of bridge between the two realms and can represent certain patterns within that plasma that are representative of thought patterns and consciousness and awareness. So souls are energy, but there can be a level in which the soul densifies itself, so to speak, concentrates itself, so to speak, as to then produce what might be a quasi-physical representation of the energy patterns of consciousness in the soul that then can translate into physical materiality using the building blocks of physical reality and arranging them in a way that allows consciousness to best express itself in physical terms. So you're actually talking about three different levels of reality: non-physical, quasi-physical, and physical in this process.